The St. John community, what it meant to me was that it was home.
And it was a self-sufficient neighborhood where everybody knew everybody else. The neighbors were all friendly. We ate together, we cried together, we did everything together.
It was a mixed area, and we were all kind of poor, but we shared a lot of things.
St. John had its very good points. It was self-contained, it was neighborly.
To be able to explore, to have the kind of people that was around us, that is what made it amazing.
St. John Street was like my Wakanda. Our treasure was our camaraderie. We respected each other. We loved each other.
It was just a melting pot of love. It's what I remember.
The first people to come here were the Anishinaabe people. These are the Native American tribes who came here from the East Coast. According to their belief system, they came here as part of a prophecy that they would move to the west and stop where the food grows on water. And this refers to wild rice that was growing in the Flint River and the waterways of Michigan. So they came here at some point before European contact. We don't know exactly when. They came here because of a river crossing, or a Grand Traverse, as it's called, an easy place to cross the Flint River, and they settled here. And their presence here was what first attracted Euro-Americans to the Flint area. They came here to trade with the natives. And, Michigan during that time period was a nexus of the fur trade because of the Great Lakes, because of the internal rivers, because in a time before you have the highway system, the waterways are the way that people are getting around and moving heavy things, just like interstates. And so, that was kind of the story of how people started to come here. 1807, I believe it was, the Treaty of Detroit, cedes about half of Genesee County to the United States. And as part of the terms of this treaty, it allows Euro-Americans and Americans to settle in this area. Also provides some other stipulations, such as, we're going to provide tools to the tribes and various things. It doesn't outright say that they're supposed to leave as part of the terms of this, but it's kind of the end game with this, because a lot of the people who are engaging in this kind of behavior, they think that as more Europeans start to come here, it's going to push the first people out.
I was born in Flint, born and raised here, and I have learned over the years that things that I was taught were not correct. I was taught, about Jacob Smith, and totally erased the Anishinaabe community that was here first.
So Jacob Smith, a lot of people have considered him to be the founder of what is now modern-day Flint. He was a fur trader originally from Quebec, I believe. He came here to Michigan and specifically settled in the Flint area because of the Grand Traverse, where, the Anishinaabe people were living, to engage in the fur trade with them. He had children with some of the Anishinaabe people, and he actually benefited directly from a lot of these treaties, because as part of the treaties, he was specifically given, and his children were specifically given, plots of land in what is now downtown Flint in the Grand Traverse neighborhood, but also in what would become the St. John neighborhood.
After the lumber industry died out, another industry began, which was the construction of carriages, horse-drawn carriages. One of them was the Durant Door Carriage Company, founded by William C. Durant and J. Dallas Dorrit, both of whom eventually developed their own automotive companies. In fact, William Durant, he bought the Buick Motor Company and built a complex of factories on Hamilton Avenue, and that's how Buick City, over the decades, developed.
So if we're thinking about Flint in the turn of the century, it's still a relatively small town in 1900, and it really doesn't take off. Really, we don't see a ton of growth until 1910. And the difference is between 1900 and 1910 is we build our first auto factory here. So the Buick factory gets built. And we start rolling the first Buicks off the line in 1905. And we get a huge influx in migrants coming into the city. And They're kind of, for a while, it's kind of the elites and the industrial elites and city planners and civic leaders are worried about what these migrants look like, and kind of worried about what these migrants might, what might mean to the growth of the city.
The birth of General Motors had a huge impact on the city of Flint because all of a sudden you have this very large auto manufacturer with all kinds of high-paying factory jobs, and there's suddenly a really huge thing attracting people to this area. And so you start picking up this very common thread in Flint history, and that is that people came here, whether it's someone's grandparents, their great-grandparents, they come here from the South, places like Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and they're attracted here because of these high-paying factory jobs.